I'm not that type of person. That's why I was so...
Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday.
She warned us. She put it in writing. She told her therapist. She told her doctor. She posted it publicly. She said, if something happens to me, don't let it go away. And then something happened to her. But here's what nobody is connecting. Let's start with Joe Rogan. Because out of everything that's been said about this case on the internet, the theories, the speculation, the hot takes, what stood out wasn't an accusation. It wasn't a lawsuit. It wasn't a leaked document. It was a reaction. Joe Rogan, sitting across from his guest, listening to what has been described as one of the most haunting pieces of audio connected to the entire Epstein story. Virginia Giuffre's final recorded words. And you could hear it in his voice. That rare stillness, the kind that only happens when something lands too heavy to brush off. Joe didn't explode. He didn't pivot to a joke. He didn't reach for a conspiracy angle to cushion the blow. He got quiet. And in that quiet, something shifted in the conversation. Because what Virginia said in that recording wasn't just testimony. It wasn't just a survivor speaking about what happened to her. It was a woman who had spent years screaming into a void, watched powerful people walk free, watched files get delayed, evidence disappear, and truth get buried, and still kept screaming anyway. She said she believed in the justice system, even after everything, that the New York Southern District wanted to do the right thing.
The justice system failed us then. I believe they're going to do something amazing for us now. I really believe in them.
She believed in them right up until the end. And Joe, to his credit, didn't perform outrage. He sat with the weight of it. He's spoken before about how people in Hollywood operate, how the entertainment industry is designed to protect its own, and listening to Virginia's voice, knowing what happened to her after she spoke out, knowing her book disappeared, knowing she was hit by a truck and then died weeks later. That's not a story you process quickly. That's the kind of story that stays with you. What Joe said about Ellen DeGeneres in a separate conversation now reads completely differently in that light, because everything in this case, every thread, eventually leads back to the same tightly woven circle. And Ellen's name is inside it. Ellen DeGeneres built her entire brand on one word: kindness. Not talent, not humor, not intelligence, kindness. It was her signature, her logo, the thing she repeated so often it stopped being a value and became a shield. But here's what we now know about that shield.
People found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was.
This wasn't a slow drip. When the stories broke about what was allegedly happening behind the scenes of the Ellen DeGeneres show, the toxic workplace, the fear, the silence enforced by proximity to power, it didn't just damage her image, it collapsed it. Because when your entire identity is built on being the nice one, there is no soft landing when the opposite becomes undeniable. There's only the fall. And then something strange happened. The timing. The Epstein Files announcement comes. The FBI and Department of Justice confirm a release. The entertainment industry, allegedly seeded with Epstein's connections, his modeling scouts, his recruiting networks, goes into a quiet panic. And Ellen DeGeneres leaves the country.
Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation.
She blamed Trump, and sure, she's been a vocal critic. That part is documented, but the timing creates a problem, because she didn't leave when Trump won in 2016. She didn't leave during his first term. She didn't leave at any point in the years since. She stayed. She kept filming. She kept smiling. She left now, right after the Epstein Files announcement, right after names started circulating, right after the entertainment world began bracing for what was coming. She changed her hair. She moved to rural England. She put her Montecito mansion on the market. She told friends she was never coming back. Online, people weren't buying the Trump excuse, and the voices calling it out weren't fringe accounts. They were prominent commentators, former colleagues, and people who had watched this story build for years.
But the best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump. We want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is thrown at her as well. But
now let's talk about the web, because it's not just one connection, it's a pattern. Jeffrey Epstein was not simply a predator with a private island. According to files that have now been at least partially released, and according to the testimony of of multiple victims, he was operating a layered infrastructure, private jets, safe houses, a modeling scout operation, connections inside the entertainment industry, connections inside governments, connections to genetic research institutions, and a meticulously maintained black book. That black book, the one his former butler secretly kept a copy of, contained names from every tier of power: royals, presidents, billionaires, celebrities.
Mick Jagger, Courtney Love, Prince Andrew, Fergie, just people from all over the world. President Clinton, President Trump. He wasn't president at the time, but Donald Trump was in there. And just so many famous people were in there.
Inclusion in that book is not evidence of wrongdoing. That needs to be said clearly. People end up in contact lists for 1,000 different reasons. But what investigators noticed, and what Rodriguez himself flagged before his arrest, was that certain names were circled, marked differently, as if whoever organized it wanted to flag a deeper level of involvement. Rodriguez died at 60, years after being released from prison. The full significance of what he knew died with him, but the book existed, the files existed, and the emails, the ones that have been analyzed line by line, reveal something that cannot be easily explained away: a coded language.
She looks pregnant, reacting to a photo. And the client replies back to Epstein, "You mean radiating a soft glow with the look of bliss and excitement? Yeah, that's the pizza."
Now, it is worth being precise here. Law enforcement has not confirmed that these food references are codified language for criminal activity. Online speculation has run ahead of what's been proven. That's important to acknowledge. But the pattern of these words appearing in contexts that simply do not fit: pizza prescribed after medical treatment, beef jerky stored in cold insulated bags, grape soda referenced in serious professional exchanges, has raised enough questions that analysts and journalists have noted it extensively. Joe Rogan and his guest spent significant time on this, not because they were certain of what it meant, but because the sheer repetition of it in the wrong context demands at minimum an explanation.
Pizza and grape soda before this. I don't know if that specific combination was part of the whole Pizzagate thing, but it's definitely mentioned a lot.
And then there's Diddy, Sean Combs, convicted, facing charges that, according to legal analysts, barely scratch the surface of what was alleged to exist. Thousands of hours of recordings, high-profile individuals caught on tape in compromising situations.
Why did they tell us that there was all these videos of all these high-profile people and then silence, and then it never comes up once during the trial?
Ellen was publicly, photographically, verifiably connected to Diddy. The photos exist. The appearances exist. The timeline of their friendship overlaps with the period when, according to prosecutors, his alleged criminal behavior was at its most active. When the Diddy net started tightening, Ellen went quiet. When the Epstein net started tightening, Ellen left the country. That's not proof, but it is a pattern. Of everything that surrounds Ellen DeGeneres, this part is the hardest to sit with. Stephen Twitch Boss, her DJ, her on-screen best friend, the man she publicly called her right-hand man, her chosen family, the heart of the show, the man she made cry on television and then laughed about it like it was content. He died by suicide in December 2022. He was 40 years old.
When Twitch left his home the day before he took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him. The motel manager says he checked in under his own name and never left his room. We also now know that Twitch left his note. Details have not been made public, but TMZ reports the note alluded to challenges Twitch had faced in the past.
What's documented is that he left a note. What's documented is that it referenced past struggles. What's not documented, what exists only in online forums, leaked DMs, and unverified accounts, is the claim that the note contained more than just personal pain. According to those accounts, Twitch allegedly described what he had witnessed working inside Ellen's world, things involving powerful people, things he had been pressured to stay silent about. These claims have not been verified. They have not appeared in any official investigation. They are allegations that circulate in corners of the internet with no confirmed sourcing. But they exist, and they are being repeated by a growing number of people who believe the surface story that this was simply a talented man in private pain does not account for all of it. What makes this harder to ignore is what Tyler Perry said. Perry, who has spoken openly about his own struggles with suicidal thoughts, reflected on what it means to carry that kind of darkness while presenting something entirely different to the world.
It was so dark, I thought the only way to make this better, this pain go away, is to save my life. Had any of those attempts happened, I would have missed the best part of my life.
Whatever the truth is about what Twitch knew or didn't know, he was a human being in genuine pain. That deserves to be acknowledged before anything else. But the question remains, why did Ellen, the woman who called him family, force him back on television during her apology tour, smiling, performing, pretending everything was fine, while, according to multiple accounts, he was anything but fine? Here's what Joe Rogan's commentary unlocked that no one was fully saying out loud. The Ellen Show was not just a talk show. According to the theory he explored with his guest, it may have functioned, intentionally or not, as a behavioral extraction machine, a place where powerful, guarded people were made to feel safe enough to lower their defenses. And then they were pushed, not always visibly, not always obviously, but consistently.
Let's toast to you not being pregnant. If you're not pregnant, then we should.
My goodness. I can't believe her.
Mariah Carey later revealed she had suffered a miscarriage not long after that broadcast. What was framed as a playful moment, a toast, a wink, a joke, became something deeply personal in hindsight. Mariah told a publication she had a hard time grappling with what happened on that stage. The Katy Perry clip, the Martha Stewart Never Have I Ever game, the pattern of extracting private information under the umbrella of entertainment. These weren't isolated incidents of bad judgment. They formed a consistent methodology. Make people laugh, make people comfortable, then get what you want from them.
What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life.
Come back to Virginia Giuffre for a moment, because everything else in this story, the departures, the code words, the black books, the show tactics, all of it exists in a world that Virginia was trying to expose before she died. She described the infrastructure of Epstein's operation not as one man with a private island, but as a machine with moving parts. Doctors, psychiatrists, stylists, drivers, housemaids, pilots, people across every layer of proximity who knew, looked away, and said nothing.
It took all of these people turning a blind eye, which they weren't blind to because we were right there blatantly in front of them. They knew exactly what was going on.
The recently released files confirmed what Virginia had alleged for years. Epstein had connections inside the entertainment industry. He was involved with modeling agencies. He used his social network to access young women. And his emails, casually worded, coded in food references that law enforcement has yet to fully explain, show a man who operated with extraordinary confidence that he would never truly face consequences. Another victim, Marina Lacerta, known publicly for years only as Jane Doe No. 1, finally put her name to her story. She said something that should stop everyone cold. Let that land. A victim of Jeffrey Epstein, a woman who was abused at 14 years old, is saying that the government knows more about what was done to her body than she does, and they're still sitting on it. And in the middle of all of this, the files delayed, the victims still waiting, the names still protected, one of Hollywood's most powerful television personalities quietly packed her bags and moved to rural England. Nobody is saying Ellen DeGeneres is Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody is saying she ran a trafficking operation. Nobody is saying the code words in those emails have been proven to mean what the internet believes they mean. Nobody is saying Twitch's note said what the forums claim it said. Nobody is saying her show was a confirmed handler operation. What is being said, what the timeline, the connections, the departures, and the silence are collectively saying is that the people who were closest to this world keep doing the same thing when the lights come on. They go quiet, they leave, they change their appearance, they blame something else. And the victims, the ones who screamed into the void for years, the ones who tweeted their own death notices because they knew what was coming, they keep disappearing. Virginia Giuffre said that 6 weeks before she died. She wasn't quiet, and neither are we.